So in today's video, I want to talk about reviews and discuss why people get so offended by them. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So what is a review? Well, if we look at the Oxford Dictionary, and in this case there are multiple definitions, but the one that fits here is a critical appraisal of a book, play, film, etc. published in a newspaper or magazine. And that critical appraisal, what we have to remember with reviews is that a review is an opinion. That is all. So if I go and say that Avengers Endgame was an amazing movie, best movie ever, that's my opinion. No one is saying that with a review you have to agree with it, and more often than not you're probably not going to agree with a review that I give to a game or a movie, and that's fine. That is totally fine. If I review a game that I didn't enjoy, I'm going to give you my reasons as to why I didn't enjoy it. Now, Fallout 76 and Anthem are probably the two biggest review topics at the moment, especially in games, and Captain Marvel at the moment seems to be something that everyone's talking about, for better or for worse. And there are probably people out there who played Fallout 76 on day one and to this day are enjoying it. Same thing with Anthem. And no doubt there are people out there who went and watched Captain Marvel, walked out of the cinema and thought it was a good movie. Now, my opinion on Captain Marvel was that it was an okay film. I thought that, it would have been better off if they had have done with Captain Marvel what they did with Black Panther. Bring her into Endgame and then do a movie afterwards. We don't really need an origin story with her. And the way they did her story, it wasn't very imaginative. And it felt like they were trying really hard to make it like, Captain America and all those films, which it didn't need to be. It didn't need to be like every other Marvel movie out there. They could have gone a whole different direction. She is meant to be apparently this ultimate hero, this ultimate superhero in the Marvel universe, and nothing about that film made her feel like she was any bigger than any of the other superheroes that we have had in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, you may disagree, and that again, like I said about reviews, that is totally fine. This video is not a review. This is more of a insight into why people get upset, and what we tend to see in a lot of comments is trolling. But at the end of the day, what you like is what you like. I just found that with Captain Marvel, to me it felt like a poor man's Guardians of the Galaxy. They tried to put a film together with a lot of humor and action and the introduction of the whole music and things into it. They could have just done something completely different. They didn't need to do it the way they did. The story, honestly, was a little lackluster. The movie was slow. And the villain, it's probably not the worst villain that we have had in a Marvel movie, but it's pretty close. Nothing about the villain made you think that, especially when she fights, that this was some epic battle. Nothing about it had that feeling. And they're trying to tell us that she's this godlike character, but it just didn't have that effect for me. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble on about something that I didn't initially want to talk about. But this movie has received some pretty poor reviews, and not all of them have been bad. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, which has had a bit of a few problems, I should say, over the last few days in terms of reviews being wiped, and Anthem and Fallout 76 have had their share of good reviews, but overall have had some pretty poor reviews. Now, some people take this opportunity to, hate on either they hate on the game or they hate on the reviewer. And not all reviewers review well, and I probably wouldn't put myself in the category of being the greatest reviewer. But when you read some articles, whether it's on like IGN or Metacritic or IMDb or any entertainment site, sometimes you read a review and you got to question, did you play the game? Did you play it fully? Did you watch that movie? Because half the time they talk about how great something is or how bad something is. They're not actually giving you all the details. And sometimes I do wonder why that is. So whether it's a game, are they being given these copies to review on the basis that they are to write positively about their product? Or with a film, like with some of the reviews for Captain Marvel, they talk about the movie, but they don't talk about the movie, if that makes sense. So I know they don't want to put spoilers out there because they're trying to do a review with no spoilers, which is very hard to do. But reviews have become this area now where if someone doesn't review to your liking, people get this sense of, well, I disagree with you, so I'm going to let you know that I disagree with you, which is fine. But they take it to that next level where it kind of becomes abusive. And like I said at the beginning, a review is an opinion. And if you can't accept someone's opinion on something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a review, but an opinion technically isn't right and it's not wrong. It is an opinion. You don't have to agree with that opinion. And even if we look at politics, if you're in America and you're a Republican and a Democrat gives an opinion, yes, you probably won't agree with their opinion, but that's their opinion. You just don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to vote for them on that side. But with movies and games, what we see with games, you've got this sense of company hatred. So EA are a company that is known for having very low satisfaction from its gamers in terms of how people see them. So you got to question some reviews as to, well, are you reviewing this game this way because you just don't like EA? So EA can bring out a game and then you're just going to write a review that's negative. No matter how good or bad the game is, it's going to be bad anyway. And there might be people out there who don't like superhero films. So yeah, Captain Marvel comes out, it's not in their field of interest, so they're not going to write something great about that movie. And that's what I do question about some of these reviewers is, what are the interests of these reviewers? Does, the New York Times or IGN or any of these guys, because I know that there are films that I don't like and there are genres that I don't particularly like. So if I watch a movie from that genre and I try and write a review, it's going to be extremely hard for me to write a review that is so positive because it's not a genre that I enjoy. So my review is probably going to be more on the negative side. And if I'm rating it out of 10, yeah, I'm probably going to rate maybe a middle of the ground rating. So you do have to wonder if with some of the Captain Marvel reviews and Anthem and Fallout 76 reviews, whether they are being reviewed based on a bias of, well, I don't like that company. Now, with Anthem, it's a case of they are a loved company, and maybe I should say were a loved company, where people expected so much from them because of their history. So BioWare have a history of great storytelling and great overall design of their games. And I think with Anthem, people decided that Mass Effect Andromeda was a game that, yeah, it was pretty crap, but we'll forget that. We'll just wipe that from our memories. And when it comes to Anthem, we know this is the game that you've been working on. You've been working on it for 6 years, so we're just going to give you benefit of the doubt and just hope that this is a mind-blowing experience. And the fact that it released to such an underwhelming response, I think caught people out quite a bit. And it wasn't necessarily from launch. It was from the beta. When the beta came out, it was so broken and buggy, and people were questioning, well, there's not much of a story in the beta. Maybe the game when it comes out will have more to it. But when the game launched to the same issues that were in the beta. Our hopes of the story were shot. They've had issues with the loot, the bugs, the crashes that it's causing for PS4s and bricking the consoles, and the whole time the response from BioWare and EA has been pretty silent. Now they have responded and they have voiced their apologies to the gaming community. But we live in a time where social media is in our lives 24/7. No matter what time of day, where you are, social media is there. So when you don't like something, you're going to post about it and you're going to make your opinion vocal. And Twitter is probably one of the worst places for this, because these companies are all on Twitter and people are going to tag these companies into their posts, voicing their disapproval as to why they don't like what they've done. And so I understand that if BioWare, EA, Bethesda, Marvel Studios, all these guys, stay silent. But when it's a movie, the movie's done. Nothing is going to happen once the movie's out. So, it's not like they're going to go, oh, well, okay, so next week we're going to release another 10 minutes of the movie, which you can watch here to improve upon the film, because the film's already out and you're not going to go and spend money to go and watch it back in the cinemas. You're not really going to be too bothered about watching something that they post up. But a game, and this goes to all games in today's gaming world, where a game releases, we have a day one patch, they're constantly upgrading or updating the game. It wasn't that long ago that we had games where when they released in full and that was it. If there were any bugs or anything in it, well, you had to deal with it, that was it. But we now live in a time where a game can come out, day one, we've got a massive update, and then maybe a week later we get another update, another week later another update, then it maybe goes to a month later as they find more bugs and things, and as they fix one thing, it breaks another thing. But they don't want to acknowledge these problems at launch. And I mean, you've got to think that BioWare knew that Anthem had all these issues. They had to know. I mean, if they didn't know that this game had these problems, then who played their game before they released the beta? Because you can't think that, well, we're going to use the beta as the testing ground, because the game came out 2 weeks later, and there's no way in hell they're going to fix any bugs and major issues within that 2 weeks. It takes time to fix that sort of stuff. I'm no game developer. I don't know the ins and outs of how to make a video game. But I do know that this stuff takes time. Like, usually when a game has a major issue, the game company will come out and say, we're working on it, we hope to have an update soon. And it's normally a couple weeks, maybe a month or more before those major bugs are fixed. Now, for Anthem, the story isn't a bug. It's just lazy storytelling. The loot system is just appalling. And the fact that they ban and then apparently unban a player for playing their game and finding a way to, farm loot, which you can't blame him for doing it, because this is their game. This is the system that they allowed in their game. And then we hear of a bug that had loot drops, at a faster rate, and then they go and they fix that bug and, drop that rate back down to a snail's pace, which makes no sense. So the reviews that came out for Anthem, Fallout 76, they're, in my opinion, they are more susceptible to being heavily criticized as opposed to a review for a movie like Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel, you have to wonder if all of the lead up to that had something to do with some of the reviews as well, because we know that there was the whole feminist aspect, the white men or the white male thing that Brie Larson said before the film came out, which has, gotten on a few people's nerves, and some people disagree with that point of view. Now, I didn't read any of this, so, I don't know the full story, but I did watch a few people on YouTube who talked about this whole issue. But I have to be honest, it didn't really change the reason or why I wanted to watch the movie. I watched the trailer and it looked like it could be a decent film, but I wasn't totally amped for the movie. So when I walked out of the film, my thoughts were, it was okay, it was good, it's all right if you want something that you don't have to think about. But reading a lot of the reviews, some of them are very harsh and some of them maybe a little mean. But if they are genuine reviews, then that's the opinion of that person, and I fully respect it. But if someone is just going on to Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb or any site that they can review, and just hating on a game or a movie because they want to just troll that form of media, then I think that is a little wrong, and something should be done about that. There's no way that reviews can really question you on whether you actually saw the film or played the game or read the book or listened to the CD or whatever. It's like the day that happens, I think, will be the day that people stop reviewing, especially with films being so expensive to go and watch. And a lot of times so are video games. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about reviews and why people are getting so crazy about them, and not in a good way. But I just want to leave it there, and leave it there with that, what I said at the beginning, is that reviews are an opinion. I don't expect everyone to agree with a review that I do for a movie or a game, and that is absolutely fine. So, just remember that, because I think a lot of people watch videos on YouTube or they read these articles and they get defensive over something that they enjoyed. What you like may not be something that I like, and vice versa. So they are opinions. They are to be taken with a grain of salt, and I think that's how we should respect them. So if you haven't already, guys, please hit the subscribe button and also that bell notification. It would mean a great deal to me. Also, I'll leave the links in the description below, but if you can follow me on Twitter and on Twitch for all streaming updates, news, and stream times, and obviously Twitch to watch me stream. But I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, I will be streaming The Division 2 tomorrow on Twitch. So head over to Twitter to see when I'm on. And yeah, I'll leave it there. And so you guys take care, and I'll see you on the next video.